Alrighty, welcome back to Psychological Flexibility Tool Part 2. Moving on. So, number 1, my painful experiences and memories make it difficult for me to live a life that I would value. This is really exploring how attached you are to your painful experiences of your past and how preoccupied you are with your memories. Really, they should not, in an ideal world, our memories and our past experiences should be left in the past, and they shouldn't be influencing our present state of mind and our quality of life, nor should they be limiting and influencing and um, really manipulating our future opportunities and our future potential. So if you feel like your painful past experiences are limiting you in any way that I just mentioned, rate that accordingly. Number 2, I'm afraid of my emotions. This is a very foreign concept to a lot of people. Most people are afraid of their emotions. They don't want to feel emotions, even though emotions are never meant to go away. We're supposed to have all emotions, all spectrums of emotions, and it's actually supposed to help us. Emotions guide us. Emotions are flags, and they teach us how to live a better life. But most of us don't know how to perceive our emotions in a way that are actually useful. So if you think that you are afraid of your emotions, write that down, whether it's never true 1 or 7 always true, as discussed in the previous training. Again, this is going to measure your psychological flexibility. Number 3 is I worry about not being able to control my worries and feelings. So ironically enough, this question is kind of a little bit manipulative because it's already making you worry about something or about your worries and feelings, but you get the idea. Rate that 1 to 7. The more you worry, the more psychologically inflexible you most likely are. Number 4, my painful memories prevent me from having a fulfilling life. So rate that from 1 to 7. It's very similar to number 1. It's just asked in a very different way. Emotions cause problems in my life. Again, very similar to the previous questions. And number 6 is it seems like most people are handling their lives better than I am. If you remember from the first training, there was a question about comparing your life to other people. This is a similar question attempting to validate that as before. I'm kind of giving those secrets away, but I'm just letting you know what this is actually measuring. Because you're supposed to address all of these questions as individually and objectively as possible. But just so you know, they're all very similar questions asking the same thing. Number 7 is worries get in the way of my success. Again, very similar. So these sections here you saw in the previous one is right below any insights you might have. While you're doing this, you might actually start to notice these numbers and adding them up and seeing your counts. I don't have the math offhand right now, but obviously it's not too complicated. If you have mostly 5s and above, that those are signs that you have a little bit of psychological inflexibility and that you could most likely really benefit from a mind analysis and having mentoring sessions. Here's a little bit of a diagram for you to just kind of check out what it means to be psychologically flexible. When you have all of these different areas in your life kind of balanced, which, contact with the present moment, that's being mindful, values, understanding your values, like we talked about, having clarity, understanding your vision, having committed action, which is just momentum and habits, as opposed to inaction and impulsivity. So everything in the parentheses shows inflexibility. So it's the opposite of psychological flexibility. Self as context. So again, how are you conceptualizing yourself? How do you identify yourself? That has a lot to do with how much psychological stress you're going to be able to handle, really. If you really have an ego and you're really identifying yourself as an individual and you can't let go of this personality and your past and all these things that you think you are, you're going to have a lot of stress in your life because that's just not the truth. Fundamentally, we're all interconnected. We're all collectively influencing each other. So we don't really have too much of a real individual identity. And people, if you're feeling a little bit hurt or kind of angry or defensive even from me saying that, check that out. I would do some investigation. Again, mind analysis is really going to help you out with that. Cognitive diffusion versus fusion. That's again kind of being able to diffuse a situation. And then acceptance is experiential avoidance. Just accepting situations for what they are versus avoiding them, trying to control your own life and living in a bubble essentially that you create. So I know this was a lot of information, but hopefully it helped you out. Thanks for watching, and move on to the next lesson.